Is that us, Sean? We're happy we're going. It's Destination Newry. It's the morning programme. I'm Rowan Hand. Cormac Campbell joins me from the Newry Reporter. I have a congratulations to put out first, Cormac. Congratulations to Windmill Stars. They're a football team who won the Cairnbane Premier League last night by beating Newry Celtic by 2-1.
It'll not be the last trophy Windmill win either. They're
no,
prolific.
They're good, are they?
They're very good.
They're very good. So there you heard it here from Cormac Campbell. Windmill Stars, who won the Cairnbane Premier League last night, 2-1, defeated Newry Celtic. Well done to Windmill Stars. You've been on holiday. They couldn't replace you last week. There was no one could come.
I tell you what, Rowan, you look like a man who spent the past week voting early and voting often.
Do you know what we're going to have to do? We're going to have a sort of compendium of these sayings, all of which will start with, you know what, Rowan, you look like a man who, and then fill them in as the weeks go by.
Well, you look like a man who purchased me a beautiful new cushion to help my lumbar problems.
I think it's puce and emetic. I think it's disgusting. Whether it works or not is another matter. I think it gives you good support for your lower lumbar region. Not that you need it.
No, not yet, thank God.
No, your day will come too, I tell you. I hope not.
Straight down to business, Rowan.
Straight to business. What are we looking at?
And that's very much the theme. Obviously, the elections were last week.
Yes.
The final meeting of what was known as the Statutory Transition Committee, that was the group of Down District councillors and Newry councillors whose job it was to pave the way for the new super council coming in, the shadow council as it will now be known. Now, officially, the shadow council, or the new Newry, Mourne and Down District Council, isn't set to receive full powers until next April. However, the new chief executive at a meeting on Tuesday said that he would like to take some of the powers early. And he gave a very obvious reason for this. The Irish Open comes to Newcastle next May. And he said, so tourism powers need to be transferred now if the new council, who will be responsible for large parts of the delivery of the competition, if it's to be efficient, then the new council should be taking tourism powers sooner rather than later.
Liam Hanaway knows what he's talking about. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I must congratulate my colleague Gareth McCullough for his slick headline. Given it's a golf-related story, the early birdie catches the tourism worm. So he's quite good at puns. I have to say.
He is. He's a good lad. We should have just out of the correct thing to do acknowledge the advert on the bottom of the page. Bosco for Africa, the Newry. What is it they're having? They're having a
Sounds
soiree.
of Summer, an African soiree.
Where's that happening?
It's on in the Arts Centre, Sean Hollywood Arts Centre,
and it's
on 14th and 15th of June.
Well worth looking towards and well worth supporting, because Bosco has taken the African cause to its heart and are doing good things there.
We've just mentioned the election. I suppose we're fairly comprehensive.
How did you manage to get a holiday?
Because my wife...
the election. Now, this is a very interesting point, because it's not normal that a journalist gets off on the teeth of an election.
My wife booked it before the election was called.
Ah, well, there's no gainsaying that. That has to be... What a wonderful wife you have.
Although magically I came home and the count was still ongoing.
I know.
Although I often find it's a lot of nonsense talked about how long counts take. Someone made a very valid point. How much would it cost to bring in electronic voting? Would that money not be better spent dealing with the waiting that patients have to endure in hospital?
Oh, yeah, of course, of course. Just waiting a little while.
A couple of days, what difference does it make?
What difference does it make?
For example, the new council doesn't sit for the first time until the 10th of June.
There's no rush.
So theoretically, you could wait until the 9th of June before... Who cares, really?
Who cares? Absolutely.
Apart from newspaper editors. So the public went to the polls and chose their 41.
Yes.
And with 3 pages of coverage relating to that, we'll tell you who's representing what area, how many votes everybody got.
It's all there in the paper.
And also a bit of analysis in terms of who's the biggest. Now, the SLP and Sinn Féin both polled 14 seats. Now, the interesting thing about that is that the Sinn Féin actually received 4,000 additional votes to the SLP, which effectively is a little over 2 more seats. So Sinn Féin are very well known for their vote management systems, but in certain areas they just didn't work as historically. And one good example of that is Slieve Gullion, where Terry Hardy. Now, on one side, Terry Hardy's going to be absolutely delighted he's that popular, because he had nearly 1,000 votes to spare. but Sinn Féin as a party would have preferred those votes shared a little more evenly perhaps, and one of their sitting Area Mourne councillors actually lost out, Dara Hughes, so that allowed the SDLP to Kate Loughran to come in, take the seat, and ensure that it was 14 seats apiece between the new district's two biggest parties.
So they have it, there's even Stephen there.
Even Stevens. So it doesn't matter that one party got slightly more votes than the other. It's all about seats and all about votes in the chamber. Now, unionist faction of the new council will be slightly disappointed because under the terms of the new council, there's a unionist or a minority veto. But you need to have 20% of the seats to qualify for the minority veto, which meant that unionists needed to secure 9 seats, and they didn't. 8 seats. Now, they thought that perhaps they could have snuck a seat in Crotleaf that came up just short, but also in Roallan, which is up around Ballyhinch and Saintfield. The unionists were a little aggrieved that Alliance candidate who they claim is at university in England, who didn't canvass, didn't put up a single poster, he actually took the seat. It really is a bit of sour grapes. The public voted for who they voted for.
They did. Jim Wells was saying to me, he said, we need to have our blocking mechanism. I said, Jim, you're not elected, the people aren't elected yet.
Yeah.
The council's not sitting yet, and you're talking about blocking already.
We don't even know what's on the agenda.
He said, no, we need to block Irish language imposed upon us, and we need to block the names of the playgrounds. He said, already there's war. And
that's politics, Rowan.
My goodness.
Now, on page 6, Richard Moore of Children in Crossfire, he was in the city yesterday. Donald McMahon interviewed him. He's going to have an event in June.
Tell the people about that event, because it's an important one, and Arjoanne Callan is involved in that as well.
Right,
it's happening in the Canal Court,
I believe.
Yes.
Richard's looking to set up a second office for Children in Crossfire, which possibly could be in the area. You never know.
Very appropriate, if so, because Concern had its genesis in Newry through Paddy McGuinness. It was almost set up in Paddy McGuinness's parlour up on Stream Street, so it would be very good if that happened.
So the idea of the evening is people can come and share their stories and
He was with me yesterday. He's a lovely man, and I'm putting him out on Friday morning. One of those interviews where you realise you're talking to someone very, very different, very, very special. And the way he talked about the eye injury and the total blindness, and how he has no hurt held in his heart about that, and how the man who did it came to Derry and met his mummy and daddy. It was just an amazing interview. Yeah.
I know a lot of people are quite excited about the evening. It's on the 19th of June in the Canal Court.
Yeah.
So the tickets are now available. If you get in touch with Gemma Murphy.
Yes.
So another thing, I quite like the idea of this when I heard about it. I didn't know how easy it would have been to be put together, but they've managed to do it, and it's going to happen from the 13th of June for 2 weeks. Is a festival of windows on Hill Street.
Yes. I think I know what that's about. It's a device to kind of regenerate Hill Street, get the blinds off the
after closing. I suppose it's a legacy of the Troubles, and possibly in other towns elsewhere in the world, it's a legacy of the tendency of people to enjoy a bit of looting. But a lot of shops, unfortunately, have to draw the shutters down at the end of the trading day. Now, the Festival of Windows, the idea is that by putting exhibitions in the windows of our shops and illuminating them, that'll bring people into the city centre after hours. And that'll mean that nobody's going to be trying to damage or break into a shop when there's people around.
But it gives the miscreants an ultimate sanction on good people when you pull down shutters in case they come and break the windows. In case they come and break, if they come to break the windows, a big fat policeman with his book and his baton should be able to deal with it.
Only a fat one?
Lock them up.
Only a fat one?
Being ever so slightly poetic there. So where are we going now?
We're going to the Blues in the Bay.
That window thing, is that the Newry 2020 people?
Yeah,
they're a good group of people.
They've some very good ideas, and what's groups start up, and the litmus test is whether any of the ideas actually come to fruition. Now, two of the ideas I've been watching very carefully in terms of what they're doing are the Festival of Windows and also Yerk and Fla, which is the trad music festival they're planning for later in the summer.
It's a nice turn on the name, isn't it?
It is, definitely.
Yerk and Fla.
The beauty of it is they're both very achievable. So they've set, obviously they have a long-term goal. They want to see a city centre park, among other things. But in the meantime, they've set themselves very obtainable goals. And we've seen other groups that have done similar who have really prospered in recent times. Two good examples are the Inland Waterways Association and also Newry Maritime Association.
Absolutely, they've done huge things.
Their long-term goal is the reopening of the canal, but in the meantime they've set themselves realisable goals which they've carried out time and time again.
When asked how does one eat an elephant, Gandhi said, one bite at a time.
Yeah.
And maybe they're taking that as their
Quite
mantra.
possibly. Although I think only you in Newry is so well read on Gandhi's literature. Sayings. So Blues in the Bay obviously was over the weekend. Again, the crowds packed the point. The weather wasn't so kind this year.
But I mean, they got on with it in the park. They had the French markets sort of job, and all the pubs were full of people singing, and there was a great deal of merriment, but there was no nastiness about it.
It's not that sort of, I mean, do people go places to cause trouble?
Yeah, when they get when they get a load of drink into them, they can. And it's reassuring that we have a festival called the Blues Festival, where people go to enjoy themselves without causing trouble.
Yeah.
It can so easily be the opposite.
I don't think that comes into most people's minds, to be honest. I think people.
It's not so much it's what's in their minds. I think it's very often
what's in their blood.
What's in their blood when push comes to shove. But anyway, there we go.
So no, Van Morrison obviously was the lead act this year. He played two gigs at the town hall in one.
And he did it. He did it for charity, didn't he?
Yeah, the hospice
benefited from that.
A rather tasty donation as a result. So it was a coup for them, and it was a coup for the festival.
And he's supposed to be a cantankerous old fellow, but yet look at the good he brought to Warren Point. Look at the good he brought.
You're supposed to be a cantankerous old fellow, and look at the good you've brought.
You're heading towards my birthday, aren't you? Oh yeah.
Rowan turns 50 tomorrow.
50 tomorrow.
50
tomorrow. It only seems like yesterday that I was 50, you know. On you go.
There's always major projects, and when there's a major project, there's always a concern about people for it, people against it.
Yep.
One of those projects is the Greencastle-Greenore Ferry.
Oh yes, of course.
And there was a recent meeting between the residents group and a number of Southdown MLAs. Now, what's come out of that meeting is that the three MLAs have told the residents that the decision will ultimately be taken on planning permission by the Environment Minister, Mark H. Durkin. Now, usually planning permission for things is taken by the planning office in consultation with the councils and various other stakeholders. But with massive projects, quite often the decision is taken by the minister. For example, when planning permission for the Narrow-Water Bridge was approved, that was taken by the then Environment Minister Alex Atwood. So this project, the residents have been told will follow the same suit, and it'll be Mark H. Durkin who'll be faced with the tricky balancing act of stimulating economic development whilst protecting the interests of the residents.
Significantly, the politicians who met with the residents didn't say in that story, "We're with you, we will stop it." So to that extent, the residents didn't get their way.
They have to they know their constituents are both for and against it. It's not an easy call, especially if you're in the position of a politician who is, trying to represent all of their constituents. Not all their constituents agree on every item. For that reason, it's good that they're out hearing the views, and I'm sure they'll be out hearing the views of those in favour of it. Now, it's notable that planning permission has already been granted for the project on the southern side of the loch. Now, there seems to be, with Warren Point Harbour Authority looking to buy Greenore Port.
That's in there too.
There's a lot of things in the mix in terms of Carlingford Loch. I suppose the north and the south shores been tied together in a way that maybe hadn't been done for quite a long time, other than a weekend trip down to Carlingford. Yeah,
but interestingly, in the last couple of years, there's been a greater connection between Kilkeel and Greenore. Kilkeel and Greenore. There's joint projects occurring. There's all kinds of maritime-related events happening. and marking the Connemara and the Retriever tragedy and all of that. But sure, it'll happen. The leaf will fall where it's meant to fall, won't it?
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
In relation to another event taking place this summer that was in jeopardy by all accounts was Newry Show. I think I mentioned it to
You did.
before.
Have they got a new home?
They have, and it's been formally announced before I departed before the election. There was it had been revealed at a council meeting by Councillor Gillian Fitzpatrick that it reached agreement with Newry Rugby Club to hold the event at Newry Rugby Club. Now, previously, it had been, for the last number of years, it had been taking place at Darrymore House. Prior to that, I think it was out near Carnbean.
Yeah.
Now, for whatever reason, they've had to move home.
Yes.
So there was a frantic search. Most people thought it was going to be in Kilbroney Park for quite a while, but now that idea was scrapped, and they're now moving to Newry Rugby Club.
It's a compact enough kind of location, and it'll work well.
So it's the 145th anniversary of the first Newry Show. So thank God they found a new home, because you can't let institutions like that fail or fall.
Of course not. No, it's part and parcel of the fabric of who we are.
Well, speaking about institutions in the area, one that's gradually developing into an
triathlon.
No, the marathon run. The triathlon's later in
that
this
was
season.
the marathon, the Newry Marathon.
The Newry Marathon.
And of course, I remember, is it 5 years in existence now? Would it
Possibly
be 5?
more.
More?
Possibly 5
It
or
only
6.
seems like yesterday when they were holding it for the first time, and there was a major question mark over whether it was going to go or not. But by gum, it's taken off in some style.
It's. I think every city needs to have these certain events taking place, and I think certainly the sporting community in the area would be a lot poorer without it.
Absolutely.
So we've got some nice coverage, some nice photos, and all the results of the marathon as well. Now, I'm just back from my holidays, and you're probably planning yours.
No, I don't do holidays.
You don't do holidays?
No.
You don't do holidays?
I don't need them.
One group of people who are planning their holidays is Warren Point Town Football Club.
Where are they going?
They're going to Russia for the pre-season. 2 games they're playing in Russia. So
I'm sure that could be attractive.
I'd say, although they're playing FC Appetite, so you'd say they have the appetite? No, that's poor. And FC Chemic. So that's on July 12th and July 13th.
Yeah.
And they start back to pre-season training on June 24th. And I believe it's about 2,000 miles between the two Russian, showing you the scale of
They will be exhausted by the time they get home.
Yeah, well, it's a long flight, certainly. But
How are they doing?
Well, they stayed up in the Premier League, so
Yeah.
it's something to build upon. Now, next season, I believe they're going to have some works on the pitch, and that'll mean the pitch, there won't be the same problems as there was last year. And with home advantage, finally, you'd expect them to get stronger. Now, they'll add to the team with a few new players, and then you'd hope to see them start pulling off more consistent results. Something Down fans would like
From
to see.
last Sunday, goodness gracious.
Saturday night.
So it was Saturday night,
well,
it was,
they'd drawn the previous Sunday with an incredible second half performance.
Yeah.
And there
Didn't seem the same team,
there was
did
big
it, on Saturday night?
big hopes that they could take that form into the replay at Park Esler, which I think Down fans showed how much they wanted a home game, never mind the appetite following the draw. 16 or 17,000 fans packed Park Esler last Saturday night. And unfortunately, it wasn't to be, and it was possibly from the first minute it was clear it wasn't to be after Aidan Carr missed a penalty, which is unusual for him. He's quite adept at tugging them away. But it wasn't to be, and Tyrone progressed to play Monaghan in the next round, Down go into the backdoor system, which interestingly, if Monaghan beat Tyrone, Down could end up playing Tyrone again straight away.
Interesting.
The same thing happened last year.
Interesting, yes.
Down beat Derry in the first round last year. They then were defeated by Donegal, and the reward for losing to Donegal was they played Derry again away from home.
And yet James thinks it was a flattering scoreline for Tyrone.
It quite possibly was, because if the penalty had gone in the first minute, then all of a sudden,
different
all of a
dynamic.
sudden, it's a different dynamic. It's a much closer scoreline. It's a much closer game. Even if the rest of the game had played out the way it had, all of a sudden you were down from 8 points to 5, which is a different gloss on the game.
So where are we now? Where are you taking us next?
I'm going to go to boxing.
Never.
Never. You wouldn't believe it. Now, there's a number of, there's 3 boxing stories this week.
Yeah.
The first is, if you're looking to catch a bit of action in town, Bosco have quite a quality show taking place in Bellini's on Saturday night. So they've got 33 Irish titles. Boxers holding 33 Irish titles are competing at Bellini's. They've their own contingent, obviously. They won 3 All-Ireland titles this year.
And this is youth boxing, is it?
It's youth boxing right up until, you know, you'd be boys touching adult level.
Yeah.
Now, Paddy Barnes is going to be in attendance, which is always, for boxing fans, that's always quite an attraction.
Barnes is a Dublin fellow, is he?
No, Belfast.
He's a Belfast.
Double Olympic medalist, bronze medalist. So the 33 Irish title winners, and it's Rathkeil ABC from Limerick are the guest club. But if you're looking to see some championship boxing this weekend, you're going to have to go to Dublin, but it is 2 local lads boxing. So our 2 best middleweights, Conor Wallace and Fergus Quinn, now they've had a bit of an ongoing rivalry in recent times, and now the 2 of them meet in the All-Ireland semi-finals, the under-18 All-Ireland semi-finals at middleweight. A lot's at stake, because if you win the Irish title at that level, it's straight onto the Irish teams and international trips, European championships, possibly world championships. So it's a massive fight, and we'll have major coverage of that next week as well, I'd imagine. And finally, one local boxer who's just back from America is Sacred Heart's Jordan Chambers. He was part of an Ulster squad who took part in a recent trip to Washington, and he emerged victorious. Incidentally, he ended up boxing with the same first name as himself. So he fought Jordan Hunter in Washington in front of 500 people, and he won all 3 rounds. So he emerged victorious.
You can read all about it in today's Newry report.
You can indeed, Rowan.
Listen, thank you for coming in once again. All the best to you, and welcome back from your
Welcome
holidays. It's good to see you. Music, sir, please.
Welcome to Vadio. My name is Sarah. Let me show you how Vadio can seriously improve your business. Vadio is the new way to communicate. You can advertise your business on your TV, in your store.